Hi guys, welcome to my channel, and if you've been here before, welcome back. Thank you so much. Today we are cooking, you guys, and we are making steak. Yay! So for today's recipe, I'm using what's called an inside blade steak, which is just a regular schmegular steak. Nothing expensive, nothing fancy. I think I probably paid like maybe $9 for these two big pieces, which are enough to feed the entire family. So you don't need anything fancy for this recipe, although if you do have nicer cut steaks, of course they taste much better. But I tell you, this recipe worked with this steak, and I'm sure it would work with even less expensive steak if there is such a thing. So you don't have to spend a lot of money on steak to make it taste flavorful. So let's get to it. I'm gonna let the steak rest a little bit, get to room temperature. I dried off all the water and moisture that was on it, and I'll get it to about room temperature, which will be maybe 10 minutes or so. So in the meantime, I'm just chopping up some onions and mushrooms, and I'll crush some garlic, which we will use later on to make fried onions and mushrooms to top our steak with, which I love. I love mushrooms and onions. Do you? So let's get to it. So I'm pretty much done. Just to let you know, the other things you need for this recipe are salt, pepper, rosemary, and butter, and a little bit of oil to fry your meat at the beginning. So that's what I'm gonna be using. And then I'm also gonna preheat the oven to 425. Again, this is just an option for people who like their steak well done. You don't have to do this if you like your steak done less, but for us, most of my family like their steak well done, so this is the option that we're going with, but you can skip the oven option if you don't want to do that. So I'm putting a lot of salt and pepper on these steaks. You do lose quite a bit of it when you put it on the pan, so make sure you put enough salt and pepper, especially if your steak is thick. Mine are not very thick, but I'm still putting in a lot of salt and pepper so that my meat is nice and flavorful later on. Flip it over, do the same thing, and then we'll get started. All right, once your oil in the skillet or pan is very hot, you put your steak in there and let it cook for a couple of minutes. Now, I normally like my steak medium, but because my family likes it well done, this recipe is for making it well done, and I guarantee you this turns out so juicy, even for those of us who like ours cooked a little bit less. So trust me when I tell you, even well done steak can be super good and super tasty. So I've added in the rosemary now, and you see my crushed garlic and some butter added in. As you can see, I didn't bother to remove the shell of the garlic just because I don't have to. I'm frying it anyway. It falls off naturally, so you don't have to peel it if you don't want to, but it's up to you. And I didn't even bother chopping it. I just crushed it because we just want the flavor. Also, if you have some fresh rosemary, it's a lot better. I didn't have any on hand, so I'm just using these dried rosemary. And once your steak is nice and brown on one side, you flip it over. Make sure your oil is really hot because you don't want the steak like frying forever. Like it should only be, I don't know, maybe a couple of minutes, and then that's it. And then I'm basting it. I think this is what it's called, right? Basting. Like scooping the oil or the butter and throwing it on top, and then once you flipped it, you continue doing that. Then I'll stick mine in the oven. Again, this is an option. You don't have to do this, but if you do put it in the oven, it's just for a couple of minutes. I'm now going to fry my onions and mushrooms in a little bit of butter and add in some salt and pepper and get that ready. You could do it in a separate pan if you are trying to save time, or preferably you can fry them in the same pan that you fried the steak in. So if you didn't put it in the oven, then right away you remove the steak and you still have that oil. You can fry it with the garlic still in there. It it's so amazing, you guys. Like when you fry it with that juice, with the juices from the steak, it's so good. Anyway, so I'm gonna let this simmer for a little bit, and this is how it turns out. I'll turn off the stove and keep it there. Now the steak needs to rest a little bit. So once I've removed it from the oven, or if you didn't, you put it on your clean board and let it rest for a few minutes. And then it's done and we're good. So this is it, you guys. Voila. Now, can you see how nice and shimmery and shiny it is? You can see the juices in there, even though it's well done. This is it, you guys. That's all. And that only took a few minutes. I have some salad that I had from earlier that I'm going to be serving my food with. Guys, I started eating keto a couple of months ago, so this meal is a keto friendly meal. I love it, which I can talk a little bit about my keto journey so far on another episode, but this is my meal, you guys. It is so good, and all the goodness and the juices and the butter from the mushrooms and onions are added on my steak. This is the best. I hope you guys can try this recipe with any cut of steak you have, and I guarantee you will love it. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I really hope to see you guys again soon. And if you like this cooking video, click that thumbs up button, and I hope you have subscribed so you don't miss any future episodes. Let me get to my steak now, you guys. Have an awesome day. See you next time. Bye.